Hello. It's nice to see so many people on our penultimate Watch Moths before we go up to COP26. And so welcome to Watch Moths, which is the broadcast for our project called Moths to a Flame. We are the Art and Energy Collective. We're a very wide range of artists and scientists and techie people, energy specialists, all working together in the face of the climate emergency to think of new creative ways to encourage people to understand it and behave in a way that might help the future. So thank you for popping in today. Our project has been supported over the last 2 or 3 years by Plymouth Community Energy, and they are supporting us by coming along to Glasgow with us and generally being in the background there, keeping the energy at the centre of this as well. And we have had funding from the Arts Council, and we've also had funding from a big crowdfunder that was perhaps set the whole thing going in Plymouth at the beginning. Now, those of you that don't know Watch Moths very well might be interested to know that moths remain the stars of the show. We have grown to love them during this project, but they are also accompanied by energy, us thinking about the future energy systems, and Moths to a Flame is a metaphor. So we really want to understand how they live in nature, their life cycles, what makes them tick, why they're attracted to light, and why they may get destroyed by the light. And then we think about ourselves and our own relationship with energy as we go. So this month we have Devon Wildlife Trust also starring and supporting us. And so those of you that haven't seen us before and have come from there, you will have great pleasure in viewing many moths in different environments over this double bill show. But you'll also be seeing 3 examples of what we're calling our UK tour, which is a tour of 10 different community groups from Plymouth up to Glasgow who've been expressing this Moths to a Flame project in their own way. So we're going to be hearing from Suffolk and from Southeast London and from Glasgow itself during the programme. Because we're quite a relaxed show, if I get a bit stuck or if somebody asks a lovely question on chat, Chloe and or Jenny might interrupt. So just feel free to sort of join in through chat and really hopefully enjoy it and hopefully get to see the world a little bit differently. Right, we're going to wave a hand at the presenters because we've got a fantastic array of them. We have Simon Bates from Exeter, who's been with us the whole journey from beginning to end through many Watch Moth programmes. So hi to Simon.
Hello everybody, it's great to be here.
Good, lovely to see you as well. And we have John Walters in the middle of Devon.
Hi there.
Hi John, looking forward to hearing from you, what you've been seeing later on. I think you're normally at the end. So
yeah, I'll do something at the end, yeah.
Yeah, great, thank you. Amy Walkden, also in the middle of Devon. Amy, we were with you the very first time when we set our Moth Trap up in the wet October month 2 years ago, do you remember?
Certainly do, yeah, right. That was the very sort of inception of it all, wasn't it?
I was 3 years old then.
Yeah, you were very small, Robin.
Yeah, remember it well.
Yeah, good. Well, we look forward to coming back to you in a minute. And then we have Zoe Hughes from the Devon Wildlife Trust.
Hello everyone, it's great to be here. I'm joining you from Exeter, where I've been enjoying kicking my feet through some leaf litter, hence my lovely background.
Yeah, it's nice to meet you, Zoe, and I'm glad we've been working with you this month. That's good. And then Giovanna Special and Dagmara and Thea and Sarah are all in London. Hello.
Hi. Hi. And we also have our moth here.
Oh,
Let me just...
Yeah, we look.
Hi, Sarah.
Yeah, it's nice to see you. And then we have Liz War and John from Suffolk. Maybe you say hello separately because you're in two different places.
Yes, hello everyone. I'm sitting at my kitchen table in Hoxton in Suffolk.
Yeah, it's nice to see you. And John Taylor.
Yeah. Hi everyone. Yeah, I'm outside in my garden in Ipswich tonight, so going to try a bit of an experiment later on.
Oh, looking forward to that. We really like experiments, John, so that's good. And finally, we might have Hannah, although she's having a bit of a problem with her youngster, her little youngster. Is there a Hannah in there?
Not yet, but I will keep an eye out for her.
Yeah, okay. Well, I think, and then we've got Jenny. You've met Jenny and Chloe. Is that a screen there?
Hello. Nice to see you.
The Art and Energy Collective team for this evening. So let's start off then. Let's start to enjoy this sort of eclectic mix of moths and energy and creativity, and go to Amy in the middle of Devon there.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello. Hi, everyone. Amy here and Robin as well. Thank you for having us along to this show. Yeah, as we said earlier, I've been involved right from the beginning, and it's just been a real privilege. I'm really, really excited about your trip to Glasgow, and I'm going to be following your progress all the way. So yeah, good luck with it all. We have set up our trap. I'm just going to show it to you. It's like we're staying inside nice and warm at the moment. Can you see behind me the blue light there? That's our moth trap that we set up about an hour ago. So we're hoping, yeah, exactly. We're hoping to be able to at least have one or two moths to show you in the morning. We're also going to be joined by Barry, who is the Devon moth recorder. He's going to come over in the morning as well. He'll set his trap up. He lives in the same village here, so she'll be on her iPad apparently. So we should have a few more moths because he catches lots and lots of moths, which is great. We wanted to just quickly show you something. This week, Robin, who's eagle-eyed, spotted, I'm going to just turn my camera around, spotted a rather lovely little moth in her bedroom. Yeah.
Oh.
That's actually quite a small fairy that's on her little dressing table.
Oh, good. It's right here.
It's right there. Okay. And yes, and it had settled down there for the day, and we thought it was rather lovely. So
there it is.
Yeah. We'll turn around back around again. Robin, do you want to show it there? So just that little fairy, and actually that moth might look familiar to lots of people. In fact, I even managed to catch another one in our bathroom this evening. Don't know if you can just see that there. Mm-hmm. They're kind of a cross shape. They often come in the house.
They're like one line with like a middle bit that's going down.
And what are they called, Robin?
Plume moths.
Plume moths, yes. And this one and the one on the fairy is a common plume moth. And I don't know why I didn't know this already, but it didn't even occur to me. But when you see them, and I think lots of people do see them, and they do that cross shape, what I hadn't appreciated was that their wings are actually, what are they?
They're like rolled up.
They're tightly rolled up, and that's why they're in that cross shape. And when I disturbed it and it flew, it looked much more like a little fairy itself, didn't it? And there is a white one.
They fly like fairies, like
they do
up in the air.
Yeah. So we've got a bit of a sort of fairy moth theme going on here this evening. So just thought I'd tell you about that. Oh, and the other thing I wanted to say about it was that its caterpillars eat bindweed, and as much as there's lots and lots of bindweed in my garden. I don't know about anybody else's, but I can't get rid of the stuff. When I'm kind of glad now, I'm going to look at it with a little bit more love in my heart, knowing that it feeds the fairy moths, and try and think better of it, excuse me. So that's us really. I've got to get her to bed in a minute, so we'll see you guys in the morning.
Yeah, no, we look forward to that, and I love the little plume moths as well, and I've got a lot of bindweed in my garden, so I'm going to set my trap up in the next week and see whether I can catch some. Yeah, so thank you very much, Amy, and we will see you in the morning. And I know you're going to have 2 or 3 traps worth altogether, so between you, I'm sure you're going to get some good ones for us.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
See you in the morning.
Yeah, lovely. Okay, so that's the state in mid-Devon with Amy, and we're looking forward to seeing those. We're next going to fly over to Southeast London to meet Giovanna and Sarah. Hi. Hello, it's nice to see you and the moth, Giovanna. Yeah. So tell us a bit about what your project, who you are, and how you've applied Moths to a Flame in your place.
So my name is Giovanna. I'm the Chief Executive and one of the co-founders of Southeast London Community Energy. We're an organisation that really are committed to sort of transitioning to a renewable, clean, just energy system in Southeast London. And we kind of use whatever means we can. So like a lot of community energy groups, we own and operate solar, community finance solar on 11 sites. We own 0.5 megawatt. But we also do a lot of work about energy justice, essentially supporting the most vulnerable families who are really struggling at the moment with the cost of electricity and gas. We support people to increase the energy efficiency of their homes. So we do whatever's possible at the time, really. Yeah, we were really keen to be part of this because I think one of the things that has been really clear to me, I mean, we've been struggling away with in Southeast London for 7 years, transitioning from a group of volunteers to the organisation we are today. But I think we're always struggling against the fact that the conversation about climate is often one that's laden with grief. It's laden with, a lot of wanting to turn away. And I think we need to find a new way to talk about climate emergency. And so I was really keen to get involved in this project because art, I think, is a way to cross some of those boundaries. Mm-hmm. And so, we're so excited when the invite to participate in this came on board. And we got the wonderful Purple Ladies involved, who came up with a really interesting way to respond to the Moths to a Flame theme, I guess. So this is Moth, and we have Sarah and Dagmar here. We're going to tell you a little bit about it. No, white moth. Oh, and this is Thea, who's named the moth the white moth.
Okay, it's not a white plume moth, Giovanna. It's just a white moth.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Well, I wonder if it would be maybe useful to maybe show a little bit of the video that we've been working on, which is kind of like some footage from a moth procession that we've been doing. So we worked with the local community here in Southeast London to take the moth puppet, a giant moth puppet here, with the local school children that just came from school. We've been making little moths. And then we took the moth puppet with the local community to the river banks, and where then people were making wishes together with Giovanna, and we sent them off to the river, and we had a fire dance, and it was just a really beautiful time of really getting together and sort of just like coming together in a very kind of more reflective way and thoughtful way, and talk about these issues. So yeah, so we also recorded. So this is the moth puppeteer in the background. I'm just going to play you a little bit of the video and play you the sound that Sarah made. Is that all right?
Yeah, lovely.
Yeah? Okay.
It's following the fire. It's dying with the fire. Can't you see that? It looks like it's dying.
Yeah, so we kind of used the moth as a metaphor of following the flame, and sort of that tension of how close the moth can really get to the flame, and you know, when is it too late and it gets burned. And then we sort of, I mean, in our kind of dance, discovered that the moth has its own kind of life, and actually there is something that she is also attracted away from the light and with the people. And at the end of the video, she actually flies away from the flame. But we did talk at some point during the procession about actually burning it. I mean, not the moth, you know, not the moth itself, but the moth, this thing that, you know, we are in a crisis and we are in very difficult times, and bring people kind of quite close to the reality of it. But we decided again. But these were the kinds of discussions we were having, and I forgot. Yeah,
in front of the heart of the city as well. I mean,
that's it. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it looks amazing, and we look forward to seeing the whole film. And I know we're trying to get it shown in Glasgow at one of the events there called Cop This, among a whole load of other people who are putting on events. So that would be absolutely amazing if we could do that. And yeah. Did you actually enjoy the whole thing? I know it's been a massive amount of hard work, but
oh, we've loved it. It's been a really beautiful process. Just working together and working with the community.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think one of the interesting things is we were talking to people as processed through Deptford, which is a very low-income area of London, through to the Thames. And we were just having some really interesting dialogues. So, for example, I remember talking to someone who said, you know, climate change has always been on, you know, she knows it's happening, but very much her daily life, it's something she avoids thinking about. She puts it to one side. And the metaphor of the moth to a flame really enables her to think in a clear way about this. Yeah, so I think it was really effective, and yeah, we enjoyed it, haven't we?
Yeah, really positive aspect of it was at the end, just as night was falling and we were setting up our wishes on boats across, across the Thames into the land of hope. Deirdre, what your wish was?
Well, my friend's wish was all the rubbish to get out of the sea, and my wish was for the world to be happy.
Oh, that's a lovely wish. And both wishes, really, really great. Thank you. So
no, but one was from my friend.
Yeah, I know. One was from your friend and one was you. You were about the beauty of the world and being happy. So that's really lovely. So thank you, Giovanna, and the South East London Community Energy team. Yeah. And we really look forward to seeing that and sharing that and promoting it, getting it prizes and the moth flying. We'd love to take the moth, be flying the moth a bit in Glasgow for you as well.
That'd be lovely.
Yep, lovely. You'll enjoy that, hey, Moth?
Okay, thank you then. And we're now moving on from London. We're flying back to Exeter to see what Simon is up to this evening, what moths he's going to show us and where he's going to be tomorrow.
Brilliant. Nice to see everybody. I'm going to share my screen. I've got a couple of pictures to show you because it's pretty dark outside here in Exeter. So let me just do that. Hopefully you can see. Can you see a map?
Yes.
Brilliant. So this is the northern edge of Exeter down in the southwest of Devon in England. And over here we've got the University of Exeter, and I live just about here. And this is where my moth trap is running tonight, in a little bit of woodland on the edge of Mincing Lake Valley Park, which is now run by Devon Wildlife Trust. Hooray!
Hey.
Mincing Lake is the Lake of the Nuns, because there's a little monastery or nunnery down here, St. Priory's nunnery. So that's what that's about. So that's where the trap is. And this is exactly what it looks like tonight when I left it. Well, I hope it looks like that and nobody's gone and disturbed it. But that's the trap down there. In this nice bit of woodland, we got some oak trees and ash and some nice shuttlecock ferns going on here. I'm hoping to catch up. So basically, the trap is in exactly the same place as I put it out this time last year. So there's a nice little symmetry to the whole Watch Moths affair. And of course, I'm looking forward to catching up with the marvel of the day, the Merveille du jour. What an amazingly beautiful moth this is. So camouflaged against lichens on this bark. And this is a species that feeds on oak. And at the moment, they favor things like ivy flowers. Now, I don't know whether if you've got ivy near you, then you might notice that they're absolutely buzzing with bees, hoverflies at this time. Ivy is one of those amazingly important plants because it flowers late, and so it's an important nectar source for insects before they hibernate or go off and spend the winter underground. So I'm looking forward to that one. I'm also really looking forward to the black rustic with this amazing purplish sheen on its body. Really stunning moth. And probably won't catch one of these, but this would be really nice. This is very similar to the black rustic, but this is the oak rustic. And this is one of the climate change successes. This species was first recorded in the Channel Islands in about the 1990s, but has started breeding on the south coast of England and seems to be spreading north. So that would be a good one to catch up with. This one feeds on holm oak, which is the oak that keeps its leaves in the winter. The moths seem to follow the seasons, so you get a lot of these beautiful ochre and golden and brown moths at this time of the year to blend in with the autumn colours. So this is the beaded chestnut. And then just how amazing is this? If you're a fan of Chris Packham, you might be rubbing your thighs at this moth at the moment.
Are you rubbing your thighs?
I am, and I just, yes, I'm feeling the energy. I'm feeling the love for this moth with its, it's just stunning with it's called the green brindled crescent, and it's got these electric green stripes on its body. What a super thing. And then slightly more subtle, indeed, it's called the delicate. This is this is a migrant moth that appears at this time of the year. And I see that Matthew Oates on Twitter has just seen one of those. I think he's in Gloucestershire, so fingers crossed that you know, there's plenty around here in Devon and might catch one of these tonight. Look out for caterpillars at the moment. Richard Fox on Twitter has encouraged us to look out for leaf mining caterpillars. And how about this stunning thing, the pale tussock moth caterpillar, a real punk. look out for that one. So going from adults to caterpillars, just to finish up on a butterfly actually, and a shout out to the Devon Wildlife Trust, who have been running a great project called Saving Devon's Treescapes. It's a response to ash dieback to try and encourage people to plant lots of trees, because we might well lose a lot of our ash to a disease prevalent at the moment. And that might have an impact on a butterfly called the brown hair streak. And this is the rather gorgeous eggs of the brown hair streak, which they lay on blackthorn twigs. And I've been really enjoying volunteering for the Wildlife Trust and going out in the winter and looking out for these eggs that look just like urchins, don't they, or little corals. They are absolutely beautiful. I've never actually seen the adult butterfly. I must have spent literally days in the field over the past few years looking for this, and I've still not seen it because it spends all its time up in the canopy. Maybe next year, but certainly the eggs are just as beautiful. I think that's me.
Yeah, lovely. Lovely. Thank you very much, Simon. Beauties of moths, and we're looking forward to seeing all those in your trap tonight, apart from the butterfly, of course. But
so am I.
Well done to the Wildlife Trust for trying to encourage that butterfly as much as they can, especially in our local landscapes, you know, that we can just walk to from our homes and get out there and enjoy. So okay, so we've been London, we've been South Devon, we've been Exeter. Now we are going to Suffolk, and we're going to start off with Liz Waugh, who has been enjoying the company of visitors to Wildlife Trust sites, haven't you, Liz?
Yes, so yeah, I'm going to share some photographs from what we've been doing. I really enjoyed being part of Moths to the Flame project. It's been such a fantastic way to actually talk about quite difficult issues and, you know, having conversations with people. So I'll just share my screen now. Everyone see that?
Yeah, we can see that. Great.
Okay, right. So for those of you who don't know where Suffolk is, I'll put an arrow on there. So, sorry, try and get my slide to go on to the next one. There we are. Got it. Okay, so I'm an artist based in Suffolk, and I do a lot of participatory projects and workshops and things. So we did these workshops around 4 different Suffolk wildlife centres. So it was really great to partner with them. Well, they're quite different actually. Redgrave and Lopham Fen is near Diss, and it's very rural. They're all drop-in sessions, so it depended on who was around. Lackford Lakes has made lots of bird watchers there. That's near Bury. And Carlton Marsh is near Lowestoft, and Holywells Park actually doesn't have a Suffolk Wildlife Centre, but it's got somebody who runs things in the actual park there. So those are all the places that we went to.
Yeah.
So, go to the next one. And it was great because every single one we managed to have a mother there, and I didn't know much about moths actually, so I've learned a lot. My favourite one was a bronze alder. It actually looks like it's made of bronze, really beautiful. And I saw all these different shapes and sizes of Moth Trap, and it was great. People were really interested to actually see the moths and learn about the moths. And we had an expert at each centre. We were supposed to have a stall, as it were, about community energy, But John, unfortunately, wasn't well when the project was on, but he's going to come on later and he'll tell you more about that. So I'm not going to talk about that. And then we did the Moths to Flame activities, making moths to go up to the installation in Glasgow. And you can see some people here. It was really great because we had children and adults, such a range of people joining in at the different centres. And it was great that while people were making, we could actually have conversations about the issues. So it was a really lovely time. And some people did sort of copies of real moths and some people were making up their own. You can see there that we hung people's moths up on a branch as they made them. And I'll go on to the next one because I keep going the wrong way, sorry. Here we are, this is the one at Holywells. So we had a branch and we were adding the moths as we went along from place to place. But we also wanted to record messages for the installation up in Glasgow. And so we set up our own little mini interactive sound installation. And it basically, we had a microcontroller and a speaker and used conductive thread to hang the moths up. And the way it works is when somebody touches the thread, you can see this little girl is pinching a piece of thread and she's actually listening to one of the messages that has been recorded at one of the previous venues. So I'm going to show a video of that in a minute, if I can get this going the right way. Oh, jumped one. Here we are. If you look, you can see the microcontroller at the bottom at the beginning of the video.
We as a family pledge to do our part with helping to reduce our carbon footprint by cycling more and using our car less.
I promise that all the trees that are chopped down by me, I will replant. And
Promise to buy foods which have less packaging.
recycle as much as I can. Don't leave my bedroom lights on and don't waste electricity. Turn flush off and keep the environment safe.
I want world leaders to focus more on green energy and protecting our unique and precious habitats like wetlands and ancient woodlands.
I hope you could all hear that. The sound's not very great because obviously there was lots of background noise as well at the time, but it was a good way of getting people to actually stop because it was a drop-in kind of session and sort of wonder what was going on, and then also gave them ideas about the kind of messages that they could say, whether it was a promise or a hope or a message for the leaders at COP. And then finally, I can go the right way. We did do the digital moths activity as well. So I'll set those off, which was very popular. And the great thing is that a lot of the volunteers at the different centres, once they'd seen the activities, decided to actually run their own sessions with what they call like education otherwise, you know, out of people who don't go to school but are taught at home, homeschoolers, that's the word, got there eventually, and their wildlife weekend clubs and things like that. So I'll stop sharing now.
Thanks very much, Liz. That was a lovely interpretation, especially with the wire and the sound. And we're going to go straight over to John, who was also part of this project, but unfortunately, you know, the way this year has gone with COVID and everything, he wasn't able to join as much as he wanted to. But hello, John Taylor, also in Suffolk, in Ipswich, probably outdoors.
Yep. Evening, everyone. Yeah, it's excellent to see the video footage of yeah, that Liz's installation there, that was really excellent. Yeah, I was hoping to provide the community energy side of the Suffolk events, but didn't quite pan out, but I'm glad to contribute something tonight instead. So I work for an organisation called the Greater South East Energy Hub, and we support community energy organisations across South East England with grants and development support to help multiply the number of community-led energy projects happening across the region. So we get involved with solar farms, renewable heat projects, things like that. Obviously, energy is really at the forefront of people's minds at the moment with gas bills and everything like that. So we also run programs for the government giving out grants for home insulation and renewable heating systems to people on a low income. So that's a really important message you want to get out across to people that, yeah, there is support if you need help with your energy costs and all that. Although a lot of my day job is based around energy and engineering, it's very much a motivation and a love for the natural world that led me into this field. So I wanted to run a little experiment, like having thought about the moths to a flame, kind of way of looking things. I was reading one of the reasons moths get attracted to light is because it's maybe the way they navigate at night by the moon. And the certain wavelengths we emit in our modern environment confuses things. So as you can see, I've got some of the lights on outside at home, and I'm going to show you, thinking about the way things at night perceive things. I've been out here. This is how it looked to me when I first came out. I couldn't see much, but my eyes have adjusted. But I've also got a thermal imaging camera with me. I'm going to see if I can share that with you.
Oh, yeah.
Another way of perceiving the world around us, and the other end of the spectrum to ultraviolet, but it shows off all the heat radiation we give off. Let's see, where am I? You might be able to see that.
Yeah, I can see it, John, and I can see some of the light coming from your, the heat coming from your house as well.
Yeah, so that's kind of what I wanted to demonstrate here tonight is just, that a very real kind of connection to the flame there. That's where my boiler and radiators are in my uninsulated house, unfortunately, blasting heat out into the night. So that's what it looks like from our own eyes, but with a change of perception, another way of perceiving the world, you can see this problem is suddenly very real and in your face. So hopefully, that's kind of one of my hopes and wishes, that we learn to appreciate the world from the perspectives of other creatures and use their ways of seeing things to help us solve the problems that face us.
Fabulous. Thank you very much, John. We're going to fly straight over now up to Hannah Braxton, who's actually in Glasgow, who we hope we'll see when we come up to Glasgow in a week's time. Bye-bye, John. And it's really nice to see you, Hannah. Thank you for dealing with your little one's poorliness and everything and coming here as well.
Yes, I'm really sorry for being late joining now.
Don't worry, you're not late now. You're totally fine. That's fine. So how are you doing up in Glasgow? How's the project going?
It's going great, actually. I'm very much looking forward to being here and being able to come along, hopefully bring some of the young people up to the botanics and kind of engage with it all firsthand. Will I share my screen and I'll just give you a little bit of a chat through what we've been up to.
Yeah.
Work.
I'm sure it'll get there. And if it doesn't, we can just have a chat, but I'm sure it'll be there. It's not always easy doing it while we're all watching either.
Sorry, guys.
Have you lost it?
No, I've got it. It's just suggesting my system to. update some system preferences in order to do this. I'm just going to try this. Oh dear, I'm really sorry.
Never mind. Never mind. You can tell us, Hannah. And
I've got a really quick way of telling me how to do this. It's
So I know that up in Glasgow, you've been working with the schools.
Yeah. Sorry about the lack of images here, guys. I'll
there's
upload the images into the chat. Well, in a minute after speaking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, we've been partnering up, myself and another 2 artists, with the Bowling Green in Pollokshields, which is an amazing kind of community hub that's sort of a community-led space, taking on an existing bowling green to set it up as a kind of public green space within a kind of quite an urban part of the south of Glasgow. And we've been sort of approaching this by making a link to some other work that we're doing, which is kind of looking at the future of Pollokshields and how we might capture that through imagery to create part of a mural that's going to kind of fill a site where there's been recently been a fire. And we found those as really lovely kind of link because we've been looking through the other work a lot at kind of symbols and what makes an area kind of locally distinctive and what's special about it, and how do we understand that through reading the kind of architecture and the shapes, and the imagery is well connected to the different cultures that live in that area. So we've had two schools with multiple classes in each come down to the Bowling Green to do the Moths to the Flame activity with us. And we've been challenging them to think about what would a moth for Pollokshields look like. So how might the wings take on some of those symbols and shapes that represent the local area? And that's, I guess, been our way of kind of starting to talk to them about nature within their immediate environment and how that impacts on them. So the moths that we've made, which we'll be bringing along to you, all kind of capture some of the different shapes and symbols from that area. And we've got 2 public sessions that are coming up. So the first is tomorrow, and we're going to be hosting again the wonderful activity, making the milk bottle moths with people. And we're also translating some of the messages that the young people have recorded for COP, and also messages and things that people might bring along tomorrow, into some large-scale banners, which are essentially, you know, kind of classic white background with large black lettering for some of these pieces. And the idea is that for the following next Friday, we're going to install these alongside the milk bottle moths that we've got on the site in the evening, and we're going to light them up as if they were kind of backlit light installations, which will hopefully sort of essentially bring alight some of these messages, and equally act as light traps for moths. So we're hosting a kind of slightly alternative take on the mothing for a night. So it will be all these messages lit up hopefully over the evening. We're going to be having a bit of fire, some food, and some kind of general chat with people, and hopefully someone come along and help us identify a few. We've still plenty flying around.
Yeah, we've been looking for a moth for you, for you, and we'll see whether we can, between us, find one for the event, because it'd be brilliant to have a person who can identify the moths that turn up with your signs and so on, and lights and so on as well. Yeah, that's great.
The hope is that there'll be events obviously happening in Glasgow throughout COP. So on the Saturday, the 6th, I think maybe some of the local people would take these banners and join in some of the the walks and things that are happening locally.
Good, great.
Yeah.
That all sounds lovely, and we look forward to meeting you in a week's time. Or
yes, yeah, really looking forward to it. Yeah, sorry
Great.
about this.
No, don't worry. I know you've had a lot on your mind, and it's great that you've joined us and told us a bit, because it's yet another package, and I don't know, another interpretation, another energy lens on the world through the Moth's eyes, and we love it. So thank you, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
And now we're going to the Devon Wildlife Trust, and Zoe has been out there interviewing a colleague or two about the Devon Wildlife Trust sort of carbon plan, their plan for the future. And shall we go straight into the film, and then I'll talk to you, or do you want to introduce Stuart?
I mean, I think he introduces himself, but
yeah, he does as well. I think we've got a short film for everybody to see, where Stuart Hodgkiss is going to introduce himself.
So we're here in Devon Wildlife Trust's Cricklepit Mill garden. So Stuart, what is your role at Devon Wildlife Trust?
So I'm Stuart Hodgkiss, I'm Facilities Team Leader for Devon Wildlife Trust, and it's my role to look after all of the properties and vehicles that we have. I'm also responsible for calculating our carbon footprint and running our environmental management system, which we have certified to the ISO 14001 standard. I've written the Devon Wildlife Trust Carbon Reduction Plan, which sets out the steps we'll take to reach net zero carbon by 2030.
So what are Devon Wildlife Trust's steps to reduce our carbon plan over the next 10 years?
So we've taken the view that the most important thing we can do is to not necessarily focus solely on implementing renewable sources and replacing traditional carbon means, but to actually use less in the first place. So for us, when we look at something like vehicles, the obvious answer is to replace our fleet with electric vehicles or hybrids, which we will do. But for us, we take the view that there is still quite a significant carbon burden associated with those vehicles. So whether that's through manufacture, distribution, or of course charging themselves, unless the electricity comes solely from renewable sources. So there is always a carbon burden associated with that type of infrastructure. So for us, it's more important to use less in the first place. To that end, what we're looking at doing is reducing the size of our vehicle fleet. It's important for us to have vehicles because we operate in a really, Devon is a very large rural county, so particularly getting access to our nature reserves and some of the rural places that we work in, we do need vehicles. But for us, it's about having less vehicles, having less buildings, and using what we have got in a much more efficient way. So where we do have vehicles, we need to drive them less and look at alternatives like video conferencing. With our buildings, again, we're looking at having less buildings, but the buildings that we've got, we want them to be as efficient as possible and powered by renewable means where we can.
So what is nature's role in tackling the climate crisis?
So along with using less, one of the most efficient means that we can all look at is restoring land and sea that can be used to lock up carbon. So nature-based solutions are particularly looking at habitats and landscapes that are incredibly powerful at locking and storing carbon away as carbon sinks, but a lot of them are in poor condition at the moment, and when they're in poor condition, they either don't retain the carbon, or at the worst can actually still release some of that carbon. So for us, it's really important to prioritise these habitats, maximise our efforts in restoring them so that they're retaining as much carbon as possible and using nature as a way to lock carbon away.
Brilliant. So there's Stuart with a really significant job there for your the trust, Zoe, and I think what we could do actually now is just go straight on to that the little film about Wooder Farm.
Wooder Farm, yeah. Do you want me to introduce it slightly, just so people have an idea? Yeah, okay. So Wooder Farm is one of our sites that's not open to the public, but it's a site that we take on and manage, and we have done for a number of years. But rather excitingly, a few months ago, it was chosen as one of 12 projects in the country that is sort of looking at combating climate change, particularly with the mind of restoring grasslands, peatlands, kind of other habitats that absorb carbon, but also being a demonstration site, so we can help landowners also make changes that help nature and also lock carbon away in a kind of effective way. And as Stuart mentioned in the video, using nature-based solutions, so using nature to enhance what we've already got and enhance wildlife, but also combat climate change and absorb carbon, but also make us more resilient to the impacts of climate change, so things like flooding and drought.
Yeah, great. Well, let's watch it. It's a couple of minutes.
How can we get agriculture to carbon neutral? It's an issue that Devon Wildlife Trust will be tackling at Wood Farm. Before work begins next week, they gave us a first look.
The project's got two main themes. One is to increase the amazing wildlife we have at Wood, and the other is to investigate how through our management we can help sequester carbon in the fight against climate change. As few as cattle on site as possible while still delivering the most biodiverse site with the most species that we can manage.
Today we're out setting up dormouse tunnels, part of the dormouse monitoring.
We'll also be planting a further 8,000 trees across Wood.
With funding from the People's Postcode Lottery, on-site scientists will conduct studies to see which of the farming methods tried are best for the environment. One of the key study methods is quadrats.
We're doing quadrat surveys in most of the fields here at the farm, which is where you lay out an area of 2 metres by 2 metres and record all the species in that area and their percentage frequency.
Here in the BBC garden, we're not actually doing too badly. In fact, the native grass, native clover and the lovely wild buttercups growing all around would seem to indicate quite a healthy local population. So if we were to put a quadrant down in this area, it'd probably show some good results. But of course the project at Wood Farm is about much more than just finding out what's in your own garden.
Going forward into the future, I think realistically a lot of what it will be trying to work out how we best apply the knowledge we've gained from this project and take it out.
The future of eco-friendly farming will be shaped by research carried out right here on our doorstep. Hannah Rowe, BBC Spotlight.
Great, that's fantastic, Zoe. So we tomorrow morning we've got Barry Henwood, the Devon recorder for Moths. He's going to have a look at what he can find in some of those woods, isn't he? Or not those woods, but similar woods.
And he's done moth trapping at Wood before, so he knows well what he would find there in terms of moth species.
Yeah, great. Okay, well we're thank you very much, Zoe. We'll see you tomorrow morning, and we are now going to John Walters, who's been sitting patiently while we've slipped a little bit time-wise. So we'll be a couple of minutes over, but it's really nice to see you, John.
Hello.
You're another mother that's been really supportive of the project and been, well, and you know all sorts of insects and things, but you've been involved with us now for a year and a half or so, and we've seen moths.
Missed many.
No, you haven't, and we've seen caterpillars and moths through the seasons. But what have you been up to in the last month?
The last month, so well, can't remember that far back, but last week I've been looking a lot at ivy, which was mentioned earlier. Amazing source of nectar and pollen for insects at this time of year. So I've been looking at ivy bees and quite a lot of red admirals. Actually, there's a really good year for red admirals. So I've been sort of focusing in on those and having a look at those. So I've hatched a couple out, which I reared from some caterpillars I found, and I've been watching them down on the coast. Also been down, I went down to Prawl a couple of days ago now, just to see if I could see any butterflies migrating. And I did manage to see, I don't know if Jenny's got the video to show.
Yeah.
We could, just show this little video. It's a beautiful day. I mean, the coast at the moment is amazing because it's so calm. And there were lots of small white butterflies and a few red admirals, and they were fluttering around the cliffs there. And eventually I managed to see one actually head out to sea, because these butterflies, actually a lot of them migrate back down into the Mediterranean for the winter. So it's just great to actually see this one go, and it looks so fragile out against the ocean there. But it was heading out due south, had perfect conditions. So hopefully it's in France by now. That was a couple of days ago, just about midday. So that was exciting to see. And there were lots of red admirals around as well on the ivy, and lots of ivy bees as well. So if you look on ivy this time of year, there's a little stripy bee which lives on there, and it only collects the pollen from ivy. It was only found new to Britain about 20 years ago, but it's spread enormously, and it's right up into the northern of England now. But you'll find it everywhere. It goes all around the middle of Exeter, everywhere really. If you have a look on a patch of ivy, you'll probably see one of those.
Wow. Well, I was dead impressed then by the sight of that little white butterfly. Yeah. So I was thinking of how we started with the white plume and then the white puppet moth, and I just, the fragility of their wings and then the ability to go so far. That's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, they are really powerful flyers. If you've been looking on my Twitter feed lately, I've been doing a lot of slow motion filming with my little Olympus camera. And that's been quite a revelation. A friend of mine's put out a sugar bait trap to attract Clifton nonpareils into his garden. I mean, he managed to attract a couple, but then during the day, about 50 red admirals descended on this log covered in sugar, and lots of hornets as well. And I've been doing some slow motion stuff on that, which is amazing to see how powerfully these things can fly. And they're very, very efficient flyers.
No, well, so I'd advise anyone watching who's interested in that to have a look on Twitter at John's feed and see some of the amazing films he takes.
And it's all, you don't need to be on Twitter either. It's all on my website. So if you go on my website, which is johnwalters.co.uk, my Twitter feed is all on there. So you don't even need to go on Twitter if you don't want to.
No, well, yeah, of course. Yeah. Okay, well, that's brilliant. It's nice to see you, John, and we look forward to you describing what you found last night, which was quite a cold night. But
it's the warm. It wasn't too bad here actually. There was, because a whole load of cloud came over Dartmoor during the night, and so I was actually got a reasonable catch of moths. So a few of those that Simon mentioned earlier appeared in the trap last night. So I'll be able to show you the video in the morning. Nothing incredibly rare, but it was a good selection of moths.
No, well, we love them anyway. So thank you very much. And,
okay, thank you.
And now over to Jenny, because that is the end of our flutter across the UK, visiting mothers and artists and energy specialists, a whole wide range of perspectives on what Moths to a Flame has led people to think about. But how are you going to finish, Jenny?
So I was thinking about that little moth, well, by fluttering out across the sea and thinking there's a bit like us heading to Glasgow, except that, that was a lone moth with the water below it and the fish waiting to gobble it up. And we're part of such a wonderful collective and a team of amazing people who have supported us all the way through this project. That it's really exciting still. It's scary, but it's not, I don't think it's that scary. So anyway, I'm going to finish on my usual. So in case you're not aware, if you haven't visited it yet, or if you haven't visited it for a little while because things have changed, please do visit mothstoaflame.art. We're also on Facebook and on Twitter and on Instagram, and our colleague Kat is amazing at keeping everybody up to date as to what's going on. We'll be doing lots on there as we do head up to Glasgow. There's also the reminder that, of course, we're back in the morning, 8 till 9 a.m. with the same link. Please do come and join us. You're very welcome to keep your camera off, watch in your pajamas with a cup of tea, piece of toast. And I've noticed a couple of glasses of wine this evening on the cameras this evening. I'm rather envious. Anyway, so it's very, very close to our deadline now for sending in your milk bottle moths. But what you can still do, and what we'd really love you to do, is to click on this button, share your message, and you can then record your message. It can be really short, just a few words, or it can be a tirade. entirely up to you. You can read it in a dramatic sense, or just be yourself and tell the world leaders what it is that really you feel is needed to move towards that kind of energy system that is more equal and more green and less destructive. We've also got other things going on up here. So we've got the events. Obviously, you probably came through that to book your ticket for this evening, but there are opportunities to catch up on what's happening while we're in Glasgow. We've also got the shop and news. There are other ways to join in. So, for example, Liz showed us those fantastic pictures of the augmented reality colouring sheet. That's all, you can find all that and join in for free through that join in button. If it's not for you, then tell other people about it. Share, please do. The other thing that I'm going to mention is this donate button down here, and many of you have donated for to attend this evening. Thank you very much for those who have. If you're able to, then that would be wonderful, just to help keep the project going and help to get us up to Glasgow. That would be fantastic. Otherwise, thank you so much for joining us this evening. We look forward to seeing you in the morning, back with the same link. Yeah, look forward to it.
Yeah, so bye-bye everybody, and thank you Zoe, and thank you John and Hannah and Giovanna and John and so on. I'll forget half of everybody, but anyway, it's nice to see you tomorrow at 8 AM.